After 60, the strongest support system you'll ever have isn't sitting around your family dinner table. Have you noticed how family gatherings sometimes drain rather than energize you? How conversations circle back to the same old dynamics, the same unspoken resentments, the same roles you've been playing since childhood? What if that's not failure, but awakening? What if your soul is trying to tell you something your conditioning won't let you hear? Buddhist masters knew what modern psychology is only now discovering, that blood relations often carry the heaviest karmic burdens after a certain age. The very people we're taught to rely on, the ones we've been conditioned to believe will always be there for us, can become the source of our greatest suffering through expectation, obligation, and unhealed patterns that repeat generation after generation. But here's what they didn't tell you. There are 6 pillars you've been building, perhaps without even realizing it, that won't disappoint you, won't guilt you, and actually grow stronger as you age, while family bonds sometimes weaken under the weight of their own complexity. Before we go deeper into these 6 pillars, I want you to do something powerful right now. Type in the comments below, "I choose my support." Just those 4 words. Type them and watch how the energy shifts in your life over the next 7 days. This isn't just engagement. This is you speaking your intention into the universe, claiming your right to build support on your own terms. Now, let me share the ancient wisdom that makes this all make sense. Buddha's teaching on right association emphasizes that spiritual growth requires conscious choice in who surrounds us, not the accident of birth. Think about that. Not accident of birth. For thousands of years, spiritual masters have understood that the people who help you evolve are rarely the ones you share DNA with. They're the ones who resonate with who you're becoming, not who you once were. The third noble truth promises liberation from suffering by releasing attachments that no longer serve our evolution, even sacred ones like family bonds. This isn't about being cold or uncaring. This is about honoring the truth that some relationships, even loving ones, carry karmic debt and expectation that prevents both people from growing into their highest selves. After 60, you've lived long enough to see the patterns. You've earned the wisdom to discern between obligation and genuine nourishment, between duty and authentic connection. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop forcing family to be your primary support system, you often improve those relationships. You relate from choice rather than need, from fullness rather than emptiness. The 6 pillars we're about to explore honor that discernment. They create what Buddhist philosophy calls dharmic support, stable, reciprocal, and aligned with your evolved self rather than your inherited role. These pillars don't ask you to abandon family. They ask you to stop expecting family to be something they may never have been equipped to be. They free everyone involved to show up authentically instead of performing the roles written by previous generations. And they give you something unshakable, a foundation built by your own hands, your own choices, your own growing wisdom about what truly nourishes a human soul in its most mature years. Let's explore the 6 pillars that have been waiting for you to recognize their power. The support structures you may have been building without even knowing they were your true refuge all along. The first pillar is community of conscious choice. In Buddhist tradition, this is called Sangha, the spiritual community that supports your awakening. But here's what most people miss. Sangha isn't about who you're related to. It's about who you resonate with. It's surrounding yourself with souls you've chosen through authentic connection, not received through the accident of genetics. Family members often relate to outdated versions of you. Your sister still sees you as the irresponsible younger sibling from 40 years ago. Your brother brings up mistakes from decades past. They unconsciously pull you back into old roles and patterns that no longer fit your evolved consciousness. It's not malicious. It's just that they knew you when you were becoming, and sometimes they can't see who you've become. This pillar shows up in book clubs where everyone shares your hunger for growth. It's meditation groups where silence speaks louder than small talk. It's volunteer circles where shared values create bonds deeper than shared bloodlines. These are the friends who knew nothing of your past and see only your present truth. They meet you exactly where you are right now, in this moment, with no agenda about who you should be based on who you were. Online communities centered on growth rather than gossip become lifelines. Places where people discuss consciousness and healing instead of rehashing old family drama. Where support means reflecting your highest potential back to you, not keeping you small so others feel comfortable. Here's the transformation lesson that changes everything. True family is created through mutual recognition of who we're becoming, not shared memories of who we were. Blood doesn't make family, resonance does. Choice does. The willingness to see each other's evolution and celebrate it rather than fear it, that makes family. Take a moment this week to audit your weekly interactions. Who energizes you? Who depletes you? Be honest. The 60-year mark is your permission slip to choose differently. You've earned the right to spend your remaining decades with people who lift your energy, not drain it. That's not selfish, that's sacred. The second pillar is purpose-driven contribution, and this one might surprise you. This is about legacy through action rather than bloodline. It's service as the ultimate support structure because it connects you to something larger than any individual relationship could ever be. When you rely on family for meaning, you create invisible pressure. You need them to fulfill you or validate your worth through their achievements. Your son's career becomes about whether you were a good parent. Your daughter's choices become a referendum on your legacy. That's exhausting for everyone involved. It keeps you focused on outcomes you can't control and robs you of the power you actually have. Purpose-driven contribution looks like mentoring younger professionals in your field, passing on wisdom that took you decades to gather. It's environmental stewardship, showing up for the planet in ways that will matter long after you're gone. It's creating art, writing, or teaching that outlives you. It's part-time, meaningful work that serves rather than just earns, where the paycheck is secondary to the impact. When your days have purpose beyond family approval, you become unshakable. You're supported by meaning itself. Your worth isn't tied to whether your children call enough, or visit enough, or appreciate you enough. Your worth is anchored in contribution that matters regardless of who acknowledges it. This week, identify one contribution only you can make given your unique history and gifts. Maybe it's the survival skills you learned from poverty. Maybe it's the patience you developed through illness. Maybe it's the creativity that never got full expression because you were too busy raising others. Begin dedicating just 3 hours weekly to it. Watch how those 3 hours become the most alive you feel all week. But conscious community and purpose require something most people resist building after 60. Something that feels counterintuitive but becomes your greatest source of strength. The third pillar is financial self-reliance, and I know what you're thinking. How is money spiritual? But the Buddha taught right livelihood as one of the essential paths to liberation. After 60, financial sovereignty isn't just practical, It's spiritual maturity. It means you become refuge rather than constantly seeking it from others. Financial entanglement with adult children creates subtle power imbalances that poison authentic relating. When you're dependent on their support or they're dependent on yours beyond what's healthy, every conversation carries unspoken calculations. Every decision becomes complicated by who owes whom what. When you expect family to rescue you financially, you remain in child consciousness, waiting to be saved instead of claiming your own power. This pillar shows up as an emergency fund that could cover 6 months of essentials. Not 6 years, just 6 months. That buffer changes everything about how you sleep at night. It's income streams, however small, from skills you've developed, rental property, investments, or creative work. Maybe it's teaching online courses about something you mastered over decades. Maybe it's consulting a few hours a week. Maybe it's dividends from careful investing over the years. It's budget mastery that removes money anxiety from daily life, knowing exactly what comes in and what goes out, so you're never surprised, never scrambling, never panicking. And here's the beautiful part. It's generosity from overflow, not depletion. When you're financially stable, you can help others from abundance rather than giving from an empty well and resenting it later. The Buddha taught that prosperity aligned with right livelihood connects you to universal flow rather than dependence on any individual. Your energy stays clean. You're not carrying the karmic weight of manipulation or obligation. You're not calculating who owes you or whom you owe. You're simply supported by what you've built through conscious choices over time. This week, calculate your freedom number. That's the monthly amount that covers all your needs, not your wants, your needs. Housing, food, healthcare, basic utilities. Write that number down. Then create one action step this week towards securing it independently. Maybe it's researching a skill you could monetize. Maybe it's meeting with a financial advisor about investments. Maybe it's finally creating that budget you've been avoiding. One step, that's all. The energy shifts when you move towards sovereignty instead of away from dependence. The fourth pillar is sacred solitude practices, and this is where many people after 60 stumble because they confuse loneliness with aloneness. They're not the same thing. Loneliness is fearing your own company. Solitude is enjoying it, and this shift makes you internally supported regardless of external circumstances. Fearing loneliness, many people fill every moment with family contact. They panic when the house is quiet. They call their children daily, not because there's anything to say, but because silence feels threatening. Family becomes a buffer against having to face themselves, and that's exhausting for everyone involved. You never discover the profound peace and clarity that emerges from chosen solitude. This pillar looks like a daily meditation practice, even just 10 minutes. Sitting in silence with your own consciousness, developing a relationship with that quiet voice inside that actually knows things your busy mind keeps drowning out. It's solo nature walks where your phone stays home, where you're not documenting the experience for others, but actually having it yourself. Trees don't judge. Rivers don't need you to perform. The earth holds you without asking for anything in return. It's journaling conversations with your higher self, writing questions and letting wisdom flow through your pen without editing or censoring. It's becoming comfortable dining alone, traveling alone, being alone without pathologizing it as loneliness. There's dignity in your own company. There's peace in not needing constant validation through connection. Here's what changes everything. When you can be alone without being lonely, you relate to everyone differently. You're not grasping, you're not needy, you're not using family to avoid yourself. You show up to relationships from fullness rather than emptiness, and people can feel that difference. Schedule 3 solitude appointments this week, non-negotiable time with just yourself. Notice what arises when family isn't the buffer between you and your own soul. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is just old conditioning dissolving. Sit with it, breathe through it. On the other side is an unshakable refuge that no one can take from you because it lives inside you. These first 4 pillars build your independence, your ability to stand on your own foundation. But the final 2 create interdependence, and that's a crucial distinction we need to understand. The 5th pillar is reciprocal care networks, and this is where independence transforms into interdependence. This is about chosen elders supporting chosen elders through mutual aid, skill exchange, and care agreements based on reciprocity rather than obligation. It's the ancient village model applied consciously to modern life. Adult children are often overwhelmed with their own lives, raising kids, building careers, navigating their own relationships. When you expect them to be your primary caregivers, it creates resentment on both sides. They feel guilty for not doing enough. You feel abandoned when they can't show up the way you need. It's a losing game that ignores something powerful: the strength of peer support among people sharing the same life stage. Your neighbors who are also 60 plus understand what you're going through in ways your children never will. They're navigating the same physical changes, the same health concerns, the same questions about meaning and legacy. There's no generation gap to bridge, no explaining necessary. This pillar shows up as informal care agreements. You drive your neighbor to medical appointments because you still feel confident behind the wheel, and they cook extra meals twice a week because they love cooking and you struggle with it. It's co-housing or intentional living communities for people over 55, where everyone contributes what they can and receives what they need without the emotional complexity of family dynamics. It's skill exchanges that honor what you each bring: your tax knowledge for their gardening help, your technology skills for their meal planning, your carpentry experience for their legal advice. Everyone has something valuable to offer, and reciprocity keeps the energy balanced and the relationships clean. It's emergency contact lists that feature friends, not just relatives. When something happens, who actually shows up? Who lives close enough to help immediately? Who understands your wishes without needing lengthy explanations? Sometimes that's a neighbor you've known 5 years, not a sibling you've known 50. Here's the transformation lesson: the strongest safety net is woven from many threads of reciprocal support, not one heavy rope of family obligation. When you diversify your support system, no single person carries too much weight. No one burns out. No one resents you. Everyone gives from their capacity and receives according to their needs. This month, identify 3 non-family people in your life and propose one specific reciprocal support exchange. Be vulnerable enough to ask for help and generous enough to offer it. Practice relating as equals, not as parent and child or helper and helpless. This is how you build the village you need. The 6th pillar is inner wisdom authority, and this might be the most liberating of all. This is about trusting your discernment over tradition, culture, and family expectations. It's sovereignty as spiritual maturity, becoming your own guru after decades of deferring to others. Family often unconsciously demands allegiance to inherited beliefs, traditions, and choices. When you diverge from family narratives, it can feel like betrayal. Your mother's religion becomes your religion. Your father's politics become your politics. Your family's approach to health, money, relationships, all of it gets passed down like DNA, and questioning it feels dangerous. But at 60 plus, you've gathered enough life data to trust yourself more than any external authority, even beloved family. You've seen what works and what doesn't. You've paid attention to patterns. You've learned from mistakes and successes. That wisdom deserves to be honored. This pillar looks like making healthcare choices based on your research and intuition, not family pressure. Maybe they want you on every medication. You want to try lifestyle changes first. Maybe they dismiss alternative approaches. You've experienced their benefits, your body, your choice. It's changing spiritual practices, political views, or lifestyle without requiring family approval. Maybe you were raised Christian, but Buddhism speaks to your soul now. Maybe you voted one way for 40 years, but your values have shifted. Maybe you're selling the family home everyone expects you to keep forever because it no longer serves you. It's setting boundaries without guilt when family expectations conflict with your truth. Saying no to holiday traditions that exhaust you. Declining to babysit grandchildren every week when it drains your energy. Choosing not to loan money you can't afford to give. Your peace matters more than their comfort. It's being able to say, "This doesn't work for me anymore," and mean it, without apology, without over-explaining, without seeking permission. At 60 plus, this self-trust becomes unshakable support. You're no longer blown around by others' opinions. You're anchored in your own knowing. That's freedom. This week, identify one area where you've deferred to family opinion against your inner knowing. Maybe it's about your living situation, your health choices, your spiritual path, or your daily routine. Take one action honoring your wisdom instead of their expectations. Notice how it feels to trust yourself that deeply. These 6 pillars don't replace family. They liberate you to relate to family authentically, from choice rather than need, from fullness rather than emptiness. Now that you understand these 6 pillars, let me share the paradox Buddha taught that brings it all together. When you stop clinging to support, you discover you're already supported by what you've built, by who you've become, by the universe responding to your self-reliance. These 6 pillars aren't about rejecting family. They're about relating to family from fullness rather than need, from sovereignty rather than desperation. When you have community you've consciously chosen, purpose that gives your days meaning, financial stability you've created, comfort in your own solitude, reciprocal care networks, and trust in your own wisdom, you stop demanding that family be everything. You stop needing them to validate you, rescue you, complete you, or define you. And ironically, that's when family relationships often improve, because you're no longer relating from the wounded child place. You're relating as the wise elder you've become. Here's how to make this practical starting today. Each morning when you wake up, acknowledge one pillar. Say it out loud or in your mind. Today, I'm supported by my purpose. Today, I'm supported by my chosen community. Today, I'm supported by my financial wisdom. Rotate through all 6 pillars over the course of a week. This isn't just positive thinking. It's rewiring your nervous system to recognize the support that's already present instead of fixating on what family isn't giving you. When family dynamics trigger old patterns, and they will, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, which pillar can I lean on right now instead of old conditioning? Maybe your sister criticizes your life choices, and instead of defending yourself or shutting down, you remember your inner wisdom authority pillar. You don't need her approval. You've gathered decades of data about what works for you. Or maybe a holiday gathering depletes you, and instead of guilting yourself about it, you remember your sacred solitude pillar. You can leave early, you can take a walk alone, you have refuge within yourself. Each evening, write this in your journal. I am supported by what I've built, not what I was born into. Notice how this statement shifts over time. At first, it might feel defiant, almost angry, like you're declaring independence from something that hurt you. That's okay. Sit with that. But gradually, watch how it becomes peaceful. It transforms from rebellion into simple truth. You are supported by what you've built. That's not a wound, it's an achievement. In the comments below, I want you to do something vulnerable and powerful. Share which pillar you're strongest in right now and which one you're ready to build starting today. Your honesty helps others recognize their own journey. When you name where you are, you give permission for others to do the same. And if this teaching resonated with you, if something in these 6 pillars spoke to a truth you've been feeling but couldn't name, type, I choose my support to seal your commitment. Watch what shifts in your life when you claim that power. After 60, you're not meant to shrink into dependency. You're not meant to apologize for outgrowing old patterns or feel guilty for choosing differently than previous generations. You're meant to expand into the wisdom keeper who shows others through your example that true support comes from conscious choice, purposeful living, and the unshakable foundation of self-trust. Your strongest days aren't behind you. They're being built right now, pillar by pillar, choice by choice, boundary by boundary. Welcome home to yourself.